There's something she's not telling you about why she suddenly wants commitment now, after years of a completely different lifestyle. And that secret, the one buried beneath all those reassuring words and intense eye contact, is the same thing that will leave you blindsided 6 months from now when you discover the reality you've been avoiding. But here's what matters right now. Before you make the irreversible decision to fully invest in this relationship, there are 3 critical truths you need to understand. First, there's a biological reason why her brain operates differently than you think, and it has nothing to do with morality. Second, there's a specific test you can run right now that will reveal her true intentions with surgical precision. And third, there's a framework for handling the situation that protects your future without making you the villain. I'm going to walk you through all 3 in detail. But we need to start with the uncomfortable reality most men refuse to see until it's already destroyed them. She's everything you thought you wanted. The chemistry is electric in a way you've never experienced. She seems genuinely interested in you, asks about your day, remembers small details. The intimacy is intense and uninhibited. She talks about future plans with an enthusiasm that makes your chest tighten with hope, and somewhere deep down you've started thinking this might actually be it. The relationship you've been working toward your whole adult life. But there's static in the signal. Little things that don't quite align. Stories about her past that shift slightly each time she tells them. The way she deflects when you ask direct questions about previous relationships. That unusual number of male friends who text at odd hours. The ex-boyfriend who's somehow still orbiting her life under the label of just friends. Her phone that's always screened down, passcode protected, treated like classified material. When you mention any of this, the script flips immediately. Suddenly you're insecure, you're controlling, you're letting past hurts poison this one. She's disappointed that you don't trust her, and every single time you end up apologizing, promising to be more confident, trying harder to silence that alarm bell in your gut that keeps getting louder. That alarm exists for a reason, and what I'm about to explain is exactly why ignoring it could be the most expensive mistake of your life. Let me describe a moment that happens in these women's lives, a moment that completely rewrites their approach to relationships. For years, she operated on pure instinct. She pursued men who triggered that primal response, that stomach-dropping attraction to unpredictability. Men who probably treated her as optional. Men who were emotionally unavailable, exciting, maybe even a little dangerous. Men who never called when they said they would, but always knew exactly what to say when they did. She chased those men relentlessly. She convinced herself that the intensity meant something real. She used physical intimacy as a strategy to create emotional connection, hoping that amazing chemistry would transform into commitment. She waited days for texts that never came. She accepted breadcrumbs of attention because something felt better than nothing. She competed with other women for men who were never going to choose her for anything serious, and she kept playing that game year after year because the addiction to emotional intensity is absolutely real. The brain chemistry involved in that chase, the dopamine, the cortisol, the adrenaline, creates patterns as powerful as any substance. But that game has an expiration date. Around 30, maybe 32, maybe 35, the timeline varies, but the moment always arrives. She starts noticing that those men who used to drive her crazy don't look at her the same way anymore. She sees friends getting married, having children, building stable lives. She feels the biological clock if children matter to her. She experiences the social pressure of being the only single one left in her friend group. She looks at her life trajectory and realizes something has to change before it's too late. That's when the strategy shifts entirely. That's when she notices you. You spent years building something real. You focused on your career while others chased temporary pleasures. You developed stability, resources, and genuine substance. You're a decent man who believes in treating people well, honoring commitments and building something meaningful. You have integrity, and for her at this precise moment in her life, you represent the perfect solution. You're the safe harbor after years of storms she created for herself. You're the answer to her growing panic about what comes next. You're proof that she can still secure a good man for something serious. But here's the truth that will sting. She's not choosing you for the same reason she chose them. Those other men triggered raw desire, that uncontrollable pull, the part of her that went crazy with wanting. You trigger her logic, her survival instinct, her need for security and social validation. They were passion. You are a plan. I know that's brutal to hear. You want to believe she finally matured, that she learned to value substance over excitement, that she recognized a good man's worth. And maybe part of that is even true, but it's not the whole truth. There's a specific word these women use when describing men like you to their friends. Is not said with contempt. It actually sounds positive on the surface. The word is stable. I finally found someone stable. He's really stable, which is what I need right now. It's nice being with someone stable for once. Sounds like a compliment, right? But think about this carefully. When was the last time you described something you're genuinely passionate about as stable? When you talk about something you love, something that consumes your thoughts, something you can't imagine living without, do you use that word? No. You use words like incredible, fascinating, amazing, can't stop thinking about it. Stable is what you call your reliable car, your decent job, your solid bank, things that serve a practical function in your life. And that's exactly what you are to her. A practical solution after years of impractical choices. A smart decision her rational mind made after her emotions led her into disaster repeatedly. Part of her, the part that got accustomed to intensity, drama, and unbridled passion, is going to miss that. Maybe not now, in the honeymoon phase when everything still carries novelty, but when routine settles in, when life becomes predictable, when you're just existing together on an ordinary Tuesday evening, that part of her will wake up, and that's when the real problems begin. She genuinely thinks she's changed. She honestly believes she's matured, learned her lessons, and now knows what she really wants. She's not consciously lying when she says the past is behind her. In her mind, she's turned a new page. But here's what she doesn't understand about her own neurology. Every time she engaged in casual physical intimacy without emotional connection, every time she chased men who didn't value her, every time she used her sexuality as currency for temporary male attention, she was programming neural pathways. She was creating deep associations between intimacy, validation, and the pursuit of intensity. Those patterns don't vanish because she made a conscious decision to want something different. They're embedded, waiting for a trigger, a moment when she feels unappreciated, bored, lonely, or insecure. When that moment comes, and it will, her brain defaults to familiar patterns. She'll seek validation the way that's always worked before. External male attention. That co-worker who always flirts. That ex who keeps sliding into her messages. Those Instagram likes from men who clearly want something more. At first it seems harmless. Just conversation. Just being friendly. Just maintaining connections. But the boundaries that a woman with a healthier past naturally maintains, she doesn't have. Because she never developed them. Because for years she operated without those boundaries. Here's how you know if she's genuinely changed or just strategically pivoted. Observe what she did between her last situationship and meeting you. Did she spend significant time alone, genuinely single, working on herself? Did she undergo real therapy addressing the underlying issues that created those patterns? Did she develop a strong sense of identity separate from male attention and sexual validation? Did she build genuine female friendships not centered on competing for men? Or did she simply hop from one situation to another until she aged out of her preferred market, then immediately start looking for something more secure? Because if the only thing that changed was her access to the men she actually wants, then you're not benefiting from her growth. You're benefiting from her limited options, and that foundation will crack the moment she feels that old access returning. Maybe she loses weight, maybe she gets a confidence boost from a promotion, maybe the attention from other men increases for any reason. The second her options expand, the commitment she made to you will be tested by patterns she never actually addressed. The first 3 to 6 months are intoxicating. She's fully present, sexually available, seemingly committed. She talks about the future with genuine enthusiasm. She might even bring up marriage, children, long-term plans. You start to relax. You start to believe this time really is different. You invest emotionally, make life plans that include her, envision a future together. Then something subtle shifts. She's still saying the right things, but there's distance. Physical intimacy becomes less frequent, less initiated by her. When you discuss the future, her responses carry less enthusiasm. You notice small things, how she lights up checking her phone, how she dresses more provocatively for work than for dates with you, how that one co-worker's name keeps appearing in conversations. When you ask about it, you're told you're imagining things, you're insecure, you need to work on your confidence, and modern culture has trained you to believe that a truly confident man doesn't worry about these things, so you doubt yourself even as your instinct screams that something is fundamentally wrong. Here's what's actually happening. The initial excitement has faded, routine has set in, and the relationship no longer fills the void that was always there. She's starting to look outside for what she used to find inside. Validation, excitement, the feeling of being desired. And here's the part that nobody talks about. It's not that she's evil or deliberately malicious. It's that she genuinely doesn't understand her own patterns. She believes her conscious intentions are enough to override years of behavioral programming. But neuroscience doesn't work that way. The pathways she created over years don't disappear because she wishes them away. Real change requires more than good intentions. It requires deep therapeutic work, genuine self-awareness, and years of practicing new patterns until they become automatic. It requires confronting painful truths about yourself that most people would rather avoid forever. Most people never do this work. It's too uncomfortable, too difficult, too time-consuming. It's easier to believe that simply wanting to be different is enough. It's easier to blame past partners for not appreciating you than to examine why you kept choosing those partners in the first place. So when she tells you she's changed, ask yourself, what evidence supports that claim beyond her words? Has she demonstrated consistent new behavior over years, not months? Has she shown the capacity to be alone and okay? Has she built a life that doesn't revolve around male validation? Or is the only evidence her saying she's changed, right when her old strategy stopped working? If you're in this situation right now, listen carefully. What I'm about to say will sound harsh, but it comes from watching this pattern destroy good men for decades. First, make a fundamental distinction. Are you looking for temporary companionship or a life partner? If it's casual, this can work perfectly. Enjoy the connection, appreciate the chemistry, but keep your heart protected. Don't invest emotionally. Don't introduce family. Don't merge finances. Don't move in together. Understand this is temporary by nature, and when it ends, you knew it was coming. But if you're looking for a real partner, if marriage matters, if you want children, if you're building towards something permanent, you need brutal honesty about what you're seeing. Because your time is finite. Your emotional energy is limited. Your capacity to trust after betrayal never fully recovers. If you invest all of that in the wrong person, you don't just lose years. You lose a version of yourself you'll never fully reclaim. I've seen men at 45 who divorced after discovering their wives never stopped seeking external validation. Men paying alimony to women who betrayed them. Men seeing their children every other weekend while she lives in the house he bought. And every single one says the same thing. The signs were there from the beginning. I chose to ignore them because I wanted to believe I was special. If you decide to continue, do it with complete clarity and firm boundaries. Observe actions, not words. Her words will be perfectly crafted. Her actions will tell you everything. Does she maintain appropriate boundaries with other men, or does she need constant attention? Is she transparent with her phone, or is it guarded like state secrets? Does she refer to you two as a committed unit, or does she use ambiguous language that keeps her options open? How does she respond when other men show interest? Does she shut it down immediately, or does she enjoy the attention? Set clear boundaries from the beginning. This is what's acceptable in a committed relationship. This is non-negotiable. And when a boundary is crossed, the consequence is immediate and definitive. No drama, no endless second chances. You cross the line we established. This ends now. And you walk away without looking back. Because a man who doesn't enforce his boundaries is a man who will be gradually dismantled until he's unrecognizable. But here's what I really think. If you're building toward a real future, why start with someone whose foundation is cracked? Why choose hard mode when there are women out there with healthier patterns, cleaner pasts, and genuine capacity for deep commitment? Women who will choose you out of authentic desire, not convenient timing. Women who won't make you feel like you're competing with ghosts. Ask yourself this with complete honesty. Are you seeing what's actually in front of you, or are you seeing what you desperately want to be there? Because she's skilled at selling the fantasy. She's perfected that ability over years with dozens of men before you. And you want to believe because she's attractive, because she makes you feel good, because part of you's tired of being alone, because part of you wants to be the hero who finally saves her from herself. But you can't save her. That's a dangerous fantasy that destroys good men. Only she can do that work. And it requires years of therapy, brutal self-confrontation, and complete reconstruction of relational patterns. Most people never do it. I can't make this decision for you. It's your life, your future, your consequences. But now you have the truth that nobody else will tell you. Now you understand what's really happening when she looks at you with those eyes and says you're different. Don't be the man who looks back 5 years from now and says, I knew it. All the signs were there. I chose to ignore them. That regret is poison that haunts you for decades. Your life is too valuable, your time too limited, your peace too important to gamble on bad odds. If this gave you the clarity you needed, subscribe for more truth that could save you from mistakes that cost you years. And comment below with just one word, clear, if this resonated. The right way to deal with this situation might be recognizing that the smartest move is not playing a rigged game. Your future self will thank you for having the courage to see clearly now, rather than learning the hard way later.